I'm joined by Chris Craver, Senior Vice President of Digital Products at Varo Bank, who has over 20 years experience in the financial services industry, over a quarter of which were spent building a successful digital bank from scratch. Thanks for having me. My name is Bill Mixick. I work for Customer.io, a behavioral messaging automation tool that helps businesses like those in the financial services industry engage with their customers when it's most impactful.
We're a $50 billion nationally chartered financial institution, a branch network that spans from New York, New Jersey, down to Florida and Alabama. But we also originate accounts in all 50 states for mortgages and consumer deposits, business lending. And we're undergoing transformation process right now, like many in the industry, where we're shifting our focus into more technology and how we can look to use that to enhance the personalized service and relationships that we build. Ideally, you're building a process where you can have people go straight through as much as possible. So if I've got the tools and databases and services behind me, and this customer, as they present themselves with a minimal amount of information is low risk, then maybe I don't have to ask them for their documentation in that funnel. Even better, if you can split some of those things up as part of the functionality where you're thinking about the services that you offer to customers, maybe they're low risk right out the gate, so you get all the way through. But until you activate your card, well, you can't use your card, or you can't do a transaction, channeling some of the FinTech examples, until you upload, a utility bill or a copy of your driver's license. Those sorts of things. Put it deeper in that process instead of putting all that onus on the upfront piece. That onboarding process is so incredibly complicated. I mean, it's not like e-commerce where you want to be able to purchase something, you got to check out, and you just, like I roll my eyes at the e-commerce people. Are like, oh, how am I going to get them to put a 16-digit PIN in? And it's like, yeah, well, how am I going to get them to do? And I'll list those things off here, but that's why you see in modern digital experiences in financial services, the first thing that you ask for is a phone number or an email address. And right away with some of those things, not only can you contact that person back if they happen to drop off, but you can actually start to run some of your KYC and fraud tools off of just that little bit of information in order to dictate what happens next. You do need to know your segment, and you do need to be okay with it. So if, let's say, older constituents are your segment, and that's okay and that works, and they're not using the password and ID credentials, and you don't see a strong uptick from that, then potentially that presents a risk to you. So maybe turn that off. So know what your customer segment and needs are, and feel free to stick to that and not get drawn into the, I've got to support everyone everywhere, in every place, particularly if you've got a strong case for that segment and that persona. What's interesting at this point is we're now getting into this environment I touched upon earlier, where you can start to have different experiences for different segments or different stages, of the customer journey. So it's not just a one experience is all, and I'm trying to bring you back to that experience. It's all right, you've gone off because I need some more, documentation for you for important reasons. Now you have to go to a separate journey, and how am I making that easy for you? And then maybe if I get some things through that documentation process, I can hop over other steps that otherwise would have been on the primary path, because I've got address information, name information, balance information, other transactions, whatever those things are that you've provided to us. We can be smart with those multiple journeys, all to drive towards that goal of getting the customer live and active. Say it goes back to that funding example, or you ask them for a piece of information that they don't readily have at their fingertips because they're sitting on the train or the bus, or they're on their mobile phone and the documentation somewhere else. That moment's almost gone. So it's really important but you do have opportunities through communication channels like email, like push notification, like SMS to to try to bring them back. And I think those are areas which are easier to experiment in as well. They're lower lift, so I don't have to change mobile screens. I don't have to change online pages. I don't have to bifurcate. I can run, test, and experiment different messages, different timings for those to eke out what performance I can from people that have fallen out. You see a lot of the fintechs have these marketplaces where you can go into and you can purchase products and services. Maybe you're not using my debit card yet to go do that, but you've got 2% cash back coming into your account, and you can see that right away. Or if you've done things like promotions for customers, referral type promotions or other, you can show that $10 in their account already. It just happens to be locked up, but that's a pretty significant behavioral element to drive them back into the application when they get their debit card to go use that $10. It's not every week, it's every day. And so what is the performance on a daily basis, if not even more than that, to understand what are the trends, what are impacting those trends? Are there changes that you've made? Are there changes that are so you've just put a new release out, or you've changed the experience? Is that helping or hurting your performance? Have a hypothesis. From that, how can you go out and create some prototype or run some test, measure the results, and then go from there? It's a mantra that we as digital product managers are all too accustomed with.